and drinking and concession facilities, access and circulation from the standpoint of getting in and out of the site, looking for parking, and the scattered array of parking that supports all the amenities on the site, and the general aesthetics of the area. While it's nice to have the open space, and our community residents certainly appreciate the grand open feeling of coming into our town, the edges and the periphery could be enhanced and improved in the long-term vision of the master planning. New and unique ideas that have come about, studying the relationship and shared uses between the Cook County Forest Preserve, the new Trier Duke Childs Fields, and the Village landfill area. How do we use those? How do we work with those users? How do we integrate those spaces better so that we're sharing some of our responsibilities, also sharing some of our open space and improve them? For instance, the Duke Childs Field areas are used solely by New Trier for their facilities, and yet they represent a large part of that visual open space out there. Is there an opportunity to share some of those or use some of those spaces? Can we help them improve their drainage issues as we address ours? The Village landfill area, nice big green open space that nobody touches that's adjacent to our open space. How do we link that? How do we use that? We know we've got a timeline about 5, 6, 7 years out in the future where we can use that space or start thinking about using that space for perhaps recreational pursuits, working clearly with the village on how we can integrate that. The idea of potential for a pool came out loud and clear, not only through the Leisure Vision study as a need, recognized need in the community or a want and desire, but also as we talked through with the user groups, the idea of a pool, whether that's a pool that's an outdoor venue or an indoor venue or some combination of both, came out in the thinking. Increased use of passive uses, idea of walking, trails, visual spaces, view sheds, important component to consider as we move forward on this process. Reducing the impact on neighbors. As we know, the fields are surrounded by residential neighborhoods, school to the east and neighbors to the north and east. Willow Road on the south is really our big divide where it breaks that up. But how can we limit the impact on the neighbors, particularly with the intrusion of light intrusion from the lights, noise, and circulation from traffic? The need to identify revenue generators. Park District continues to operate in goodwill and in good stead. The idea is, can we keep that going, or can we look for other sources as part of the big picture here where we can generate more revenue? Are there other opportunities that we're missing out on that either other communities are looking at or we should be looking at as a community providing here that can generate those? Consider rebranding and renaming. Big idea that came out of the process was, do we need to keep it Skokie Playfields? It sends the wrong image that it's Skokie Playfields and not Winnetka Playfields. Big picture thinking, but an idea to bring into the mix nonetheless. Study regional balance of uses. Again, looking out beyond our boundaries. Are we supporting all of the uses within our community, but are we also enhancing and improving the uses for other communities who come here and use our facilities? And the efficiency of uses within the Park District facilities. Are we being efficient about how we use our space, how we use our buildings? Are there opportunities where we can share services, resources, space, equipment, other areas within Skokie Playfield that we should be looking at? Planning principles and design solutions, create unified design, manage stormwater, properly grade the fields, eliminate the flooding that occurs there seasonally, improve circulation and wayfinding. How do we get to the events, the fields? How do people coming in find their way to specific tournaments? Create efficiency through shared use of support facilities. Again, the idea of bathrooms and concessions, how they can be integrated into the existing buildings or separated. Build better partnerships with area institutions, the schools, the village, other partners that we can look for. Preserve and protect the view sheds that surround the site. This is an open space in Maine that the community values highly. We certainly don't want to clutter it up with big boxes or big elements that change the character of it. And how do we incorporate those passive uses into the site that we talked about? Existing park overview, just to break down the user groups that occur out there. We identified golf, recreation, tennis, paddle, as I identified before in terms of their acreage, but what's happening in each of those areas? Well, golf is an 18-hole golf course, a par 3 9-hole, a driving range, clubhouse, and practice area. That's all squeezed into that 158 acres of space that represents the golf course facilities. Within the recreation areas, the ball fields, we have 6 ball fields, various levels of play from Little League on up to a Pony League field. We have multi-purpose football, lacrosse fields that occur out there, and one half-size field that represents the existing conditions that are out there today. Tennis, AC Nielsen has the 8 indoor courts and 12 outdoor courts. We're blessed to have that as a main facility of our area, but it also houses our Park District offices on the north side of the building. And paddle, losing part of it on the screen here, represents about 6 outdoor courts with the addition of a nice indoor clubhouse facility. And a little overview picture looking at a number of different angles. This is looking from the southwest, identifying the Park District existing maintenance facilities, the ball fields, the Nielsen tennis courts, the hockey facilities, Duke Charles in the background, and then all of the amenities that represent the golf course area here, forest preserve in the distance, and clearly the landfill and public works across Willow Road. Looking again from the northwest, back at that same angle, you can see the driving range in the foreground, Washburn Junior High off to the upper left here. Looking from Willow Road, looking basically from the service center back, we're looking at the 9-hole golf course here, existing conditions looking back, clubhouse facility, driving range, and out to the 18th and Forest Preserve over here, Duke Charles in the foreground. And then looking from the southeast over the top of Duke Charles, looking down upon the ice arena, the supporting parking for ice, paddle, tennis, and golf areas. And then looking back to the north, you can see all the rest of the 18-hole golf course. A little overview of the existing condition. We developed a number of different plans that range from what we would call the baby steps to the big picture thinking, kind of outside of the box. But before we did that, we stepped back at the direction, at the thought of several folks that came to some of our earlier workshops that said, could you step back a little bit and address this if it weren't all here and we were starting over back in the early 1900s to build the park system that we want for the future. And we did this and we said that's a great idea, let's look at it and see if it has any clues that can show us where we should be going today. Historical baseline that we used was the playfields were developed over time. There are certain environmental constraints that we have to work within, particularly the floodplain and the forest areas, less intense recreational needs, and therefore we developed these 2 what-if concepts, ideal interrelationships between the uses and better context sensitivity of how all these elements go together and minimize the impact both visually excuse me, and physically on the Winnetka surrounds. The first clean slate concept assumed that we were working within the same confines of Skokie Playfields in terms of the acreage. Duke Charles Fields, as you see, is out of the mix. We're not touching that. What would we do? How would we put that all together? Well, some of the things that we used as baselines where we wanted to consolidate the built environment, and therefore we took the idea that in today's world, you would consolidate all of your facilities in one major recreational complex. That complex would still house tennis, and it would also house hockey as part of that. It would house the offices for administration. It would provide more support spaces and rooms and classroom spaces for other venues. It may have additional indoor court spaces for basketball and other amenities. It would also have a small skate park that was attached to it on the outside of it. It would be a combo facility joined almost at the hip with a golf facility and clubhouse that would support a paddle tennis area, a new short game practice area, a pool in between the two, and really create a recreational hub or a club facility as a central gathering point, and again pushed back into the site relatively to where the existing driving range is as a point of reference. Access would still come off of Elm Street, access would come off of Cherry Street, one major parking area that would support all the facilities, and the facilities themselves would be wrapped around the perimeter of the site with open space or green space that would represent all the new ball fields, all of the outdoor tennis areas, soccer and lacrosse and football fields along the frontage of Hibbard Road. The golf course amenities and golf course facilities would operate their same circulation of 9-hole to the south, 18-hole to the north, and in this instance, we took the liberty of saying let's encroach into that space that's the triangle left over by the Forest Preserve area to put the driving range in there and use that space more effectively. Again, as open space, as a continuum of open space, as you look all the way around this site with the buildings themselves and the parking facilities in the center, away from and detached from the community residential field. What does this do? It maximizes open space, it maximizes the number of recreational ball fields,